Can you remember the last time you were distracted? I mean, you're doing something that's really important, and then something happens like social media bings or something, or the cell phone goes off and you run for it. How often does that happen to you? Would it surprise you that the average person picks up their phone 58 times a day and 30 times are at work? People sneak off and they look at what they shouldn't be looking at. Would it surprise you that when someone's distracted at work, it takes them up to 23 minutes to get back on track? Would it shock you to find out that businesses in America, just America, in 1 year, spend up to $650 billion because people at work are distracted? That's billion in 12 months. What's distraction costing you? So here's my promise. I promise that before the evening's over, you will know why you're being distracted. And you'll also have a plan. I guarantee you, if it doesn't happen, come and see me after. You'll know why you're distracted, and you'll also know what to do. Distraction causes people to be unfocused, and focus is the key. When I started thinking about this, and I've been thinking about this for 4 years, the first thing I thought was, if you're going to stay focused, you got to be disciplined. And I got to tell you something. It didn't work for me. I really tried to be disciplined, and I didn't like it. And it's exhausting. And then I tried willpower. And willpower is wonderful, but there's only a problem with willpower. It doesn't last. It only goes for a short period of time. And so for 10 years, literally a decade, I was trying to get focus using willpower and discipline, and I felt like a complete failure. And it doesn't really work. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me demonstrate it. So you got to put everything aside and you got to stand up. So just stand up. Now, before this, I asked a few folks to think about something that was really, really important to them, like a value, or something that you want that maybe you don't have, maybe you do have, and I asked you to put that information in the box, or at least to think about it. And the reason why we did it ahead of time is because when I say to somebody, hey, what's important to you, what's important to you, people freak out. So I want them to think about it now. So take your hands like this and imagine. You got to use your imagination. Imagine right here in the middle is what you want. Like, if it's a new car, new house, or if it's, I don't know, whatever you're thinking about that's really family, whatever is important to you, imagine it between your hands. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to have you bring your hands together like this. But imagine that whatever you want, you're getting it by bringing your hands together. My job is to distract you. So if you're thinking to yourself, family, I want to get married, I want to have kids, I want to settle down. Well, you're thinking that, you're thinking that, you're thinking that. You're only thinking that. You're not thinking anything else, all right? And my job is, well, let me tell you, I'm going to distract you. All right, ready? So think about what you want, and then as you're bringing your hands together, you're visualizing actually getting it. So if it's a new job or a relationship, so just bring your hands together like this, and then bring it like that, and then close it. All right? So, everyone that has the right thumb over the left, you have a 90% chance that you're going to get what you want. Now, did I distract you? Are you still thinking about what you want? Now, if the other thumb is over the other thumb, the other way, the left over the right, that means you're really good looking and healthy, You might not get what you want, but you're happy. All right, are you still thinking about it? All right, so open your hands again. Remember, my job is to distract you, so it looks like I have. All right, some of you are holding out. All right, so think about what you want, right in the middle, like right here. And then bring your hands together. Now this time, listen, this time if you put the right thumb over the left, reverse it. If you put the left over the right, reverse it. Bring your hands together, do the opposite. Do the opposite. Now how does that feel? Weird. Feels weird. So here's what I learned. If you're going to get what you really desire in life, it might feel strange and weird. It's going to be different. Hold your hands apart. Now do this. Gonna feel weird? Now do this. Watch up here, watch up here, watch up here. Go like this. Hold them together. Hold them tight. Now if you did it right, your pinkies are at the top, right here. Thumbs at the bottom, and the ring finger would be right in the middle. Right in the middle. Now follow me. Are you still thinking about what you want? Do this. Now do this. Have a seat. Now, if you were distracted, it's because there's just too much going on there. There's just too much information. You've never done this before. You've never done this before. It's kind of strange. And so there's just too much information. And not only that, but you also have to think about what you want. So you're thinking about, listen to this for a second. You're thinking about what you want. Then you're wanting to see which thumb is on top of the other. Then you're doing something really strange and you're wondering if you have it right. There's just too much going on. How many of you forgot about what you wanted when you were doing that? And especially when I fooled you at the end, right? Most of you are like, wait, how did he do that? So you took your mind off what you wanted. Now, there was a guy by the name of George Miller back in 1956. Now, this was before the internet. This was before hundreds of television shows. This was 1956. And he said, George Miller, you can Google him. He said that there's billions of bits of information coming at us. Billions and billions and billions. Every second. And we can't focus on everything. It's impossible. So what we tend to do, and I'll tell you, you're just like me. You focus on just a few things. That's it. Just a couple of things. There's a million things going on in the room, and you're just focusing on maybe 4 or 5. He wrote a paper called The Magical Number 7, give or take or 2. And he says, listen, all this stuff is coming at you, you only focus on a few things. And that's it. And the things you focus on are only the things that you think are important. So raise your hand if you're married. Right? Got a few people married. So your husband might think this is important, and you might think that's important because he's focusing on certain things and you're focusing on different things, and that's the reason why there might be conflict. Billions of bits of information coming at you. So let me show you what I'm talking about. If I were to say to you, I want you to think of 2 objects in the room that are identical. Easy. You'd say, oh, the chair that says Greg Dwyer, the chair over here that says Greg Dwyer. Really simple. It's easy. You can remember that because 2 chairs, Greg Dwyer. Now, if I were to say to you, I want you to remember those 2 chairs that say Greg Dwyer, but I also want you to think of something round like the clock over there, and I'm very cautious of the time. I'm looking at the time. So you're thinking of the clock, right? That's one thing. And then you're thinking of, well, the chairs could be one thing too, right? Then if I say to you, I want you to look around the room and pick 2 things that are red. You'd look around the room. I don't know. Would you? Yeah, the flag, right? The extinguisher. So you got the flag, the extinguisher. Then you got the round clock over there. Then you got the 2 chairs. Then if I said to you, think of something that's black, 2 things that are black, what would you think of? You'd look around the room and... Right? You'd see that. So now you have to think of those 2 things, plus the 2 red things, plus the round clock, plus the 2 chairs with the name Greg Dwyer. Then if I said to you, look around the room and find something that looks like an hourglass. You would kind of like, what? Well, if you look at these 2 chairs, right? Kind of look like an hourglass. Got to kind of use your creative imagination. What about the table over there? And the table over there. So now you got to think about the hourglass, the red, the black, the round clock, the chair. It's just too much. It's too much information to take in. And that's the reason why it's so easy to get distracted. Now, the first time that I actually thought this, really experienced it, is when I went to Israel for the very first time, like I think it was 1995. I go to Israel, I've never been there before. Everything is new. Absolutely. Culture shock. I couldn't believe it. I was overwhelmed because the language was different, the food was different, the colors were different. Everything that I experienced was absolutely different. So, nothing was the same. I'm taking in all of this information and I'm feeling overwhelmed, completely overwhelmed. So my tour guide pulls me aside. He says, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm fine." He said, "Greg, listen. Watch out for the trickster." I said, "What?" "Watch out for the trickster." I said, "What's a trickster?" He says, "It's the pickpockets." Oh, okay. Like the magicians? He goes, No. They're better than the magicians. I said, "Why?" He says, "Because they make a living at stealing people's belongings and they do it every single day. And if they don't do it, they don't eat that day. They're really good. Watch out for the tricksters." And I was like, all right. So one day, I'm with a group of people. We had about 25 people who were in Bethlehem. And I sit them down before we go out for the day. And I say to the group, be careful about the trickster, because he's going to look or she's going to look for your wallet. Be careful about opening your belongings in front of people. I gave them the whole spiel. So we're in Bethlehem. We walk out of this store. This nice guy, like really nice guy, like about 72 years old, really nice. He's a minister of a church someplace in Nebraska, really empathetic, and really kind. I mean, a loving guy, like really loving. And all of a sudden, as he's walking out of the shop, these people circle around him. And I think to myself, uh-oh. So one guy has some postcards for $1. Another guy has, I think, scarves for $1, you know. And I said to him, I can't remember his name, but I said, please get on the bus. Please, really, get on the bus. He doesn't get on the bus at all. He is mesmerized. As these people are circling around him, he's completely mesmerized. And then all of a sudden, this guy holds up a flute like this. And he's looking at it. And I'm thinking, uh-oh. And he says, only $1. I said, would you please get on the bus? He goes, no. For him, that was the most important thing that was going on. And I knew better. Only $1. I said, please get on the bus. Only $1. They wanted to play him like a flute. They really did. They had an agenda. They had a secret. As they all surrounded him and they held up that guy held up that one flute, they wanted to steal his money. So he did what he always did when he was back home. Reached in his pocket, pulled out his money, gave him $5, got the change. Finally, he got on the bus. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. 5 o'clock at night, he comes to me and he says to me, my money's gone. All of it. I mean, all of his money. And I'm thinking to myself, what are we going to do? I love this story. And the reason why I love this story is because guess what? We got his money back. Yeah, true story. Apparently Bethlehem's a little town. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
And apparently miracles happen there. Have you ever heard of that? It wasn't that kind of miracle. Apparently the town is so small that people know each other and they talk, and we got his money back. It didn't hit him until he came home at the hotel at 5 o'clock at night and opened his wallet that he realized the money was gone. But it's a great story, and it's a true story. No fabrication at all. He got the flute, got the money back, but it was a great lesson. The reason why I tell that story is because I love going away and collecting new stories when I travel. You know, like on retreats, whether it's the Wisdom House or whether it's across the country or whether it's overseas. I love to go away, and the reason why I love to go away is because I get to see things that I've never seen before. So that when I come back, I can see old things that I've never seen before. It's almost like there's this little tiny window of opportunity when I come home. It's really small, it's not big at all. But I start to see patterns of the way I think, and what I say, and what I act, and how I behave. Only when I come back do I see these patterns. I'm not aware of them when I'm in it, but when I go away on a retreat, or I go away for a weekend, or one time I was in Ireland and Italy for 30 days. 30 days, it was too long. But when I came back, I was able to see, wow, I can't believe this is what I do, how I act, how I behave. And I saw these patterns. But the patterns only last, the visualization of them, I should say, probably only an hour or two, maybe a day. Because then I go back into the patterns. I go on automatic pilot. I don't think about what I'm doing. I fall back into patterns. People who study this say that we think about 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. Most people don't know that. 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. Now this is going to surprise you. 90% of these thoughts are the same tomorrow and the next day. So think about this. You have 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, and the next day, 90% of your thoughts are the same. It reminds me of a movie called Groundhog Day. I love that movie. February 2nd. You know where to find me on February 2nd. I'm home watching that movie. It's a habit. I love it. It's true. I love the movie. How many of you seen the movie? Bill Murray. All right, most of you. So he's in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. The alarm goes off at 6 o'clock in the morning. He hears Sonny and Cher, I Got You, Babe. And then after that, rise and shine, campers, and don't forget your booties because it's cold outside. That's what he hears. It's February 2nd. What would you expect? You would expect something like that. Now, he doesn't expect anything. He doesn't see patterns. He wakes up at 6 o'clock, but he's not awake. He doesn't realize what's going on. It's not until the next day, if you remember the movie, the next day at 6 o'clock, the alarm goes off, Sonny and Cher, I Got You, Babe, rise and shine, campers, and don't forget your booties, because it's cold outside. What does he think? Ah, they're playing yesterday's track. He blames external circumstances. He doesn't realize that he's playing yesterday's track. That's the irony of it. And so the next day, and the next day, and the next day, he begins to realize that he's living these patterns and these habits over and over again. And what he's tried to do, or what he tries to do, is to break the spell. To break the spell. And he realizes that a lot has to happen. First of all, he has to be aware that he's even under a spell. And then he has to figure out how to get out of the spell. But first, he has to be aware of the conditioning that he's under. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Everybody stand up. Put everything away, including your cell phones. All eyes up here. All eyes up here. All right. I'd like you to think of two different geometric shapes. Not like a heart or a square, because everybody thinks of that. And I want you to think about it with something around it. And I want you to picture it in your mind. Raise your hand if you thought of a triangle. Please do that now. And a circle. Raise your hand. All right. Did you think of a triangle with a circle around it, or a triangle with a circle in the middle? Which one was it?
Around it.
Around it. All right, have a seat. I'll tell you why. So look at this. The majority of you did. On this piece of paper, there kind of is something that looks like a triangle. You see that? And there are a couple words here. Do not open now. And every O is exaggerated as a circle. So I'm pointing that out. Before the lecture, I went around, I showed a few people my ring. which has a triangle and a circle. But there's something else interesting, and that's this. On the card, what did I ask you to do? To circle, and every one of these things, abundance or achievement, compassion, next to it has a bullet point. And the bullet point's a triangle. And in the top right-hand corner, there's a circle and a triangle. And then on top of that, did you see me do this? Did you see me do this? Did you?
That must be weird.
What's that?
I said that must be weird.
And did you see me point to the clock over there and make a circle? And did you also show me going like this with the triangle? So this is conditioning. This is conditioning. It doesn't work on everyone. Some people it doesn't work on. It's okay. But you know what? If you can get 75 to 85% of the people to think this way based on conditioning, and this is just what, a half an hour? Think how we are being conditioned by other people, and not only by other people, but also by our own thoughts. If we are having 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, and 90% of them are the same, then we're conditioning ourselves. So I have a confession to make. I'm a little bit of a trickster. A little bit, not a lot, but when I was a kid, my uncle showed me a coin trick, and he made a coin disappear, just like that. And I thought to myself, this is amazing. So after that, I got a kit for Christmas, and I got a book for Christmas the year after. Then I went to a couple shows. And then the highlight of my career was to work backstage for Doug Henning in the Magic Show, which was wonderful because I got to see how deception and distraction was used professionally. And I don't do magic shows, but I do have compassion showing people how they're being misdirected or distracted, and I want to show people how to focus so they can live to their full potential. So that's my desire. So I have a plan I want to show you, and I guarantee you if you follow this plan, it will help you to be more focused. So let me bring this over. So here I have a circle, and this represents a person that doesn't have any focus at all. Like, if you were to say to them, what do you want out of life, or what do you desire, or what do you want to do tomorrow, they will basically say to you, I don't really know. Because it's just a circle, and there's no direction, there's no aim, there's no purpose. Now, here's the danger of this. If a person doesn't have an aim or a purpose or a focus, they're easily distractible. In other words, if you say to them, hey, you want to go to the beach? Sure. You want to go do this? Yes. So they're like, Jack Russell. They're just running around all over the place because they don't have any gravity. They don't have a focal point at all. They don't have a center. So when that guy looked at the flute, he thought that that was the most important thing going on. But I realized something else was going on. So the first thing is to identify in your life what is really important to you. And everyone is different. Not everybody is the same. Not everyone is going to value the same things. But it's important to figure out what that thing is. And you don't have to figure it out for your whole life. It could be the month, it could be the week, it could be the year, or it could be just tomorrow. But think about it. If we have 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day and 90% of them are the same tomorrow, it's good if we're focused on what we really want rather than falling into those patterns like Groundhog Day. So, first step is to figure out what it is you want. And that's the reason why I asked you before the lecture to think about it, to be really open and ask the question, hey, what do I want out of life, or what do I value the most out of life? So that's important. The second thing is to make it, and here's the triangle, to make it a habit. Make what a habit, you'll say? The thoughts, your words, and your actions. If we truly have 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, and 90% of them are the same, we already have habits that are driving our life just like that movie Groundhog Day every single day. This is being intentional. This is, you know what I call this? TWA. Like, remember the flight? The airline? TWA. Autopilot, if you're not aware, you're going to live a life not aware of your thoughts, your words, and your actions, and you're going to go in a certain direction. Taking control is saying, I'm going to focus on my thoughts, my words, and my actions. So one of the things that I do every single morning as a habit is I have these cards, and I shuffle them, and they have motivational words on them. And what I do is I take it and shuffle them up, and I pick a card, and I look at it, like for instance, this one says, be proud of yourself, or this one says, it's time for a change. And that thought is where I begin. And I'm very aware how that thought is impacting my words and my actions. Because I want to shape those 45 to 65,000 thoughts. So if I say, hey, I want to be a multimillionaire, or I say, I want to travel the world, right? But I'm saying to myself, I think rich people are terrible. Or, I would never fly, you're going to die. That thought isn't congruent with what I want, right? There's a difference of what I say I want and what I really want. So it's getting this on purpose, focused. So you're taking those 45 to 65,000 thoughts and you're molding them towards the one thing that you really want. And I got to tell you, it doesn't happen overnight. So most people that study this thing say you can create a habit in like 20 days. Probably not true. So I put together a course for 90 days. It's free, and it's inside here. And at the end, I'll ask you to open this up and to just fill it out, and you get the course for free. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I know just listening to me, you're going to forget 90% of this. You really are. You'll say, oh, it was entertaining, or it was fun, or I like this, I like that, I took some notes. But you won't take action unless you have to create a habit. And habits take at least 3 months. So this is habit. And then lastly, you got to keep it a secret. Studies show that people who blab, 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 blab and say, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, they never do it. And the reason why they don't is because the brain thinks that because you're talking about it, you're actually doing it. So someday, I'm going to have a house in Italy. You just go around talking about it, talking about it, talking about it. Your brain literally thinks that you already have accomplished it, so you're probably not going to do it. So keeping it a secret means not blabbing about it. So here's my secret. It's the bottom part of the triangle. Now when I travel, I take a bunch of stuff. I take a small little suitcase. But out of all the things that are in the suitcase, I only take and focus on 3 things that are really, really important to me. One is my passport, one is my money, and the other one is my camera. And I hide them. I keep them a secret. The last thing you want to do is if somebody comes up to you and says, sir, did you lose your wallet? And you go, no, I didn't. And you go like this. They know where your wallet is. So I take these 3 things and I hide them under my clothes. I literally have a belt that I got in Italy that has a zipper in the back. It's a leather belt, wonderful leather belt. And I wear it and I put all my money inside the belt. And I keep it as a secret because I don't want anybody to steal from me. I've been all over the world. I've never had anybody taking anything from me because I identify what's important to me. Number 2, I keep it a habit. I put it in the same place over and over and over again. I don't move it around, and I keep it a secret. Keeping it a secret is really important. One time I was in Germany, and I was walking through security, and this 25-year-old woman walks up to me with a machine gun and a German Shepherd. And the German Shepherd went right up to my belt buckle. True story. And she said to me, "Sir, can I ask you a question?" I said, "You can ask me anything you want." She says, "Are you carrying a lot of money?" I said, "Yes, I am. I'm a tour host, and this is money for tips and for other people. But that's the only time anybody's ever figured out that I have money on me, because I keep it a secret." So these three things, when I travel, I know it's important to me. Of all the things that I take, I know it's important, I make it a habit, and I keep it a secret. What I have found is that works in life. That whatever you want in your life, let's say it's love, or let's say it's kindness, or let's say it's adventure, whatever it is, it has to be your focus, because if you don't make it your focus, you will be distracted by other voices. I just heard yesterday for the first time, Google, I don't know if you've heard this, but Google just announced that in the last 2 years, there's more information on the internet from Google than there has been in the history of the world. 2 years. That every year we produce 30,000 books. It would take you 17 years to read. There's too much information out there. So the key is to know what you want. The second key is to make it a habit. And the third is to keep it a secret. Now, there was a guy by the name of Harry Houdini that could really keep secrets. This is what he did. He escaped from a safe on stage in London because someone challenged him. So he was at the height of his career. They brought the safe to him and said, "Would you escape?" And he said, "Yeah." So picture this. He gets inside the safe, the door is closed, and then he gets out about 20 minutes later. How did he do it? I want you to reflect on this for a minute. Just reflect on this. Imagine that you're in the audience, and Harry Houdini was like 5'4", really small. He gets into the safe, and then a curtain comes up, and he gets out. So let me show you. Close your eyes just for a moment. And the reason why I want you to close your eyes is I want you to use your imagination. I want you to imagine Harry Houdini standing inside the safe, and the door is locked, and he is inside. He's inside the safe. And then a curtain is brought up, and about 20 minutes later, he emerges, and he is out of the safe. So with your eyes closed, picture this, reflect on this, and ask yourself this question. Because questions have a way of focusing our attention. How did he do that? Like, how did Harry Houdini escape from that safe? With your eyes closed, just search and see if you can come up with the answer. It's a good question, but it's not the greatest question. There's a better question. I don't know if you've thought of this yet. Maybe some of you have. But here's a better question. With your eyes closed, picture Harry Houdini inside the safe, and then he gets out. And the question is, are you ready for this? Open your eyes when you got the answer. What is a safe for? Is it safe to keep people out? Or is it to keep people in? Have you ever got locked out of your car? It's a pain. You ever get locked inside your car? It's not a problem. So open your eyes. So questions and reflection have a way of realizing how he did what looked like magic. It looked like magic for most people. When most people saw that, they were amazed. But it's in the process of reflecting and the process of thinking that, how many of you, when I said that question, what's a safe for, the light bulb went off? Anybody? You said, oh wait, safe is to keep people out, not in, right? So Harry Houdini had a saying. It went like this. My mind is the key that sets me free. This is what Harry Houdini would always say. My mind is the key that sets me free. So let me hand you the key that you already have in your hand. It's reflection. If you've ever daydreamed, if you've ever just stopped and just thought about things, whether that's going on a walk or meditating or contemplating or sitting by yourself, that form of reflection is what Harry Houdini was talking about. So this is what Houdini did. The safe was delivered 24 hours before the audience got there. 24 hours. Harry Houdini was able to go inside the safe and to reflect. And he was able to think and to create a key that could allow him to get out from the inside out. Escape is a lot easier from the inside out. So, here's my secret. This is not a diamond. It's a reflection. This is what it would look like. The bottom part is a reflection of the top. As above, so below. So this isn't really a diamond. It's a reflection of the triangle above. It was only by me reflecting that I realized that discipline or the power of the will would never ever help anybody stay focused long term. It was through reflection for the last couple years that I realized that importance drives focus. If you really know what's important to you, whether that's creation or whether that's freedom, whether that's love, whatever it is, here's my gem. Here's my gem. I said everything that I said tonight to say this one thing, which is 3 words. Importance drives focus. That's it. It's so simple. But the reason why most people don't get it is because there's 45 to 65,000 thoughts going through their head every day on autopilot. 90% of them are the same the next day. They're being conditioned by all the voices of the world, and they haven't stopped to think about what really is important to them. Like really, like why are we here? What are we doing? And then they haven't turned it into a daily habit. And I don't say you have to join a monastery. Could be walking, could be running, could be just sitting and making that a habit, your thoughts, your words, and your actions, so that you're driving towards what you want, not what you don't want. And then the secret is you don't tell people about the reflection, because they'll think you're crazy. They really will. They'll say, how come you're not watching CNN? How come you're not doing this? How come you're not doing that? They don't recognize this pattern. So the other thing I realized too, and I got this over the last few years by reflecting. I didn't read it in a book. It came to me because every single morning I pick up a deck, I stop and I think, I spend at least 15 minutes in solitude so that I can focus my day, so that someone else doesn't focus my day. But what I realized was this: not only is willpower and discipline not as important as importance, what I also realized is that when you figure out what's really important to you, you become sensitive to what's important to other people. It's so easy to be distracted. I mean, I remember going out with my friend Chris a couple years ago, and I'm talking to him on the cell phone. He's looking at the cell phone. He's not paying attention to me. One time I was in a store. It was a Barnes & Noble. And a woman was talking and texting, and she went up to the front cash register, and she bought something. And she never even related to the person that she was buying the books from. Never. And then she walked off, and I went over to the woman, and I said, how did that feel? She started crying. What I really got is that when you figure out what's important for you, you become really sensitive to what's important to other people. You're able to pick it up. Not that you can read minds. It's just because you're more focused on what's going on over there. Because we're all connected. If you're thinking about 100 million things, you're not going to pick it up. You're not going to get it. And for salespeople, I do a lot of work for salespeople and businesses. I say, you don't need sales techniques. You need to learn how to connect with people. Figure out what's important to you, yes, but also figure out what's important to the other person, the client, the boss. And if you can figure out what's important for you, and you can also figure out what's important for them, you can make the connection and magic can happen. So let me show you what I mean. So let's do this. Since you're real close, would you mind helping me?
Sure.
Okay, stand up. Give them a round of applause. All right. We've never met before. I love your hat, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, have to ask you where you got it. All right,
New
so
Mexico.
where'd you get it?
New Mexico.
Oh, really? Wow, when were you there?
A couple years
A
ago.
couple of years ago.
Oh, wow, wow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to just say stop. And you're going to keep this a secret. So, and I'm going to give these to you. I've been using these for 3 years. You're going to take them home with you. They're going to be my gift to you. So just say stop.
Stop.
Okay?
Everyone just,
Yes. Don't show it to anybody. Okay. So, we've never met. And can you read it? Don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud. Just keep it to yourself.
I can read it.
Okay, that's great. So the feeling that I get from you, well, first of all, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story. I was born in 1962, and the weird thing about it is, my mom had 2 sons, and then 16 years went by, and then she had me on Christmas Day, and then they had my sister. So it was 2 separate families. And they were Catholic, they just did whatever they did, and I was a surprise. They really thought everything was going to be over, they were going to live their life, and then this, I was here. So the weird thing about it is, his name, God rest his soul, is Francis, and her name was Frances. And your name's Francis. Okay. And it kind of chokes me up to think about this, but if it wasn't for my mother and father's love for each other, I wouldn't be here. And I have a feeling that you're motivated, not by wealth, not by materialism things, not by the distractions of the thing, but love. Is love very important to you?
Absolutely. Love is everything.
Okay. And the other thing is, I know, tell me if I'm right about you, that the more you give love, the more you're going to get love. And as you walk through that door, imagination is the first step. Is that true? Towards reality?
Oh, absolutely.
There you go. I'm going to give these to you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Francis. So, there's a couple people here I know. I'm not going to pick on them. Can I pick on you?
Yes.
Come on up. We've never met.
Good luck.
Okay. So, just say yes or no, because I don't want you to think I'm fishing for answers or anything like that. You're a people person. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, very much so. Are you a nurse? You work in the health profession? Tell me.
Yes.
You do, okay, yeah. So, now listen, this is not a miracle, okay? Hold on. Last week I was at a church in Paulding, New York. I walked out, I can't remember the woman's name. She walked out, she introduced me to her mom who happened to go to Israel with me. And she went, I just want to let you know, because I was talking to her about my mask. I said, I got to wear my mask going to Israel for like 12 hours. She says, are you kidding me? She says, I have to wear my mask 12 hours a day. And as she went to say it, I knew she was a nurse. I said, yeah, you're a nurse. I said, you're a nurse. And she goes, yeah, you. But I didn't say it. I let her say it. But what do you do?
I own a business.
You own a business?
And I work with the elderly.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I get it. All right. All right. So you care about people. Like, you really care about people. Can I ask you a question? When you're dealing with people at the nursing home, right? Yes?
Yes.
At the nursing home. Okay.
Yes.
So you own the business.
I own my
You-
business.
Okay. And it's tied into that. Do you find that you have a hard time with boundaries? Like their drama becomes your drama a little bit?
Yes.
And you take your work home and,
Yes.
like, you know how there has to be like a 6 feet, but you actually get emotionally tied to this? Right.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So money's not your motivation. No. But you own a business.
Yes.
So, listen. Every time you meet somebody that's new, if you pay attention, you're reading them. Every single, when I walked on, you read me. Right? So we're all doing this. Like when I first met Elena, I read, I was like, okay, I get a feeling about who she is. I've known her a little better. Rich, I know Denise, I know Fran, I know my friend Mark in the back. I just met Francis. We do read people, okay? But the reason why we don't focus on it is because we're so distracted by everything else. And we all also think it's all about ourselves, right? We think it's all about ourselves. But when we connect to what's really important to us, and we're really focused on that, we tend to realize that there is no separation. And so what I'm getting from you is empathy is really what moves you.
Jeez.
Yes. Give her a hand. What time is it? I don't have my glasses on. So we got 20 minutes? All right. Let me show you something else. Now, what I normally do is I simply pick 2 people that I never met before, but because of the situation that we're in, I'm going to put 2 people on the spot. They are friends of mine. They don't know what's going to happen. They haven't been paid. They're not plants. They certainly are not aware. Like, I didn't call them up yesterday or this week and say, in fact, I'm going to ask Mark to help me. He's my friend in the back. If you can come forward. I'm going to ask Denise to help me too. They're not aware. Now, they both were on my television show, Mindful Conversations. Why don't you guys come up? Mark, if you could sit over here. And Denise, if you could sit over here. So the reason I'm picking them is because we've been out to lunch together, we've done television shows together, and it's not an issue about, the whole social distance thing, and I just want to be clear about that. So, Mark Iwanicki, I've known him for a few years, and he's done a couple shows with me and a couple podcasts. There's a hierarchy of values. And you don't have to tell personal stuff, and you can say whatever you want, but what are some of the things that are really important to you?
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Okay. Yeah, I get that about him. Yeah. Yeah, what else?
Faith.
Faith and knowledge.
Family.
Okay, so everybody's got a hierarchy. So he's got knowledge, faith, and family. So Denise, remember that. Denise, what would you say, I'm putting you on the spot, but what would you say something is really important to you?
Family.
Family. So remember that, just family. Anything else?
Love.
Love. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you think about what's important to you, and I have you think about what's important to you, but I also want you to switch. So you'll think about what's important to her, she'll think what's important to you. And like I say, have you guys been primed about this? No, and it's the truth. The only reason why I'm picking them is because of the whole social distance stuff, but I assure you, they haven't been primed. They're not plants. I haven't paid them, and they don't really know what's actually going on. So the first thing we're going to do is I'll ask you to put your left hand out like this. I'm going to put this die, and Denise, if you could put your right hand out. All right. So take a look at the numbers there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So hold it like a table, flat, and then put the other hand on top, and then just roll it until you're satisfied with the number that you want. And then peek at it. Don't show me, don't show Denise. Okay, do you have it? Okay, hold it flat, keep it flat like this. All right, Denise, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and then I'm going to ask you to put your fingers in your ears so that you can't hear anything. But when I tap you like this, open your eyes and open your ears. So close your eyes and put your fingers in your ears. And you got a number. We haven't talked about this. This is the truth. Okay, we'll see if this works. I'm not sure. We don't know. I'm going to take a sip of water. All right, Denise, open your eyes, open your ears. Do you have a feeling of what the number is? 1 through 6.
Okay.
Huh?
Three.
Let's see. It is 3. Okay, so, God, did we work this out? Okay. Did we? What's that? Yeah, so you can ask them afterwards. It's not a magic trick. There's no reason to applaud. This is what I'm, now, listen. They could have picked 1, they could have been off by 2, so we don't know. Like I don't want to be here all night. But I have seen this happen more and more and more and more. Perhaps because of the conditioning that I've given them about the fact that we're all connected. It's amazing. I'm going to show you something else. I don't know if this will work, but what I'd like you to do is next to your chair is a gift. I think one's over there and one's over there. It's never been used before. And you can take it home. It's never been used. It's my gift to you. So it's a mask. So I'd like you to drop the envelope and put the mask on.
It's an eye mask, right?
I don't know. I got them from an airline place. Okay. Now don't fall asleep. Now I can tell if you got your eyes open. Like if you got your eyes. Yeah. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to eventually ask you to close your eyes because you can see a little bit of light through there. So in a minute I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Right?
I don't like this.
It won't last long. All right. So neither one of you will be hurt. Neither one of you will be embarrassed. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to reflect on what's important to you. And I want you to keep your eyes closed because I don't want you to see any light or anything like that. And I want you to reflect and make believe that there's a mirror out here where I am. There's a mirror. And as you're reflecting on this with your eyes closed, your eyes have to be closed. I want you to imagine that you're sitting in the chair and you see your reflection. And your reflection is out here. And you're aware of knowledge. You're aware of family. You're aware of family and love, the things that you said. You're seeing yourself in the mirror. You can put down the paper, so you can drop it on the floor. I want you to see that in the mirror. Now, with your eyes still closed, I want you to imagine that as you're looking at the mirror, you see, instead of seeing yourself, you don't see yourself in the mirror, you actually, Denise, you actually see in the mirror Mark. And Mark, you see Denise. It's kind of weird, kind of strange. If you felt the tap or taps, raise your right hand now. Raise your right hand. Okay, put the hand down. Now, point in the direction that you felt the tap or taps. Point in the direction that it was. Okay? Thank you. Put your hands down. Now, indicate with your fingers somehow how many taps you felt. You have 2 and you have 2. Okay. All right. Now, people ask me all the time, is this possible? I say, it is impossible unless you believe in the illusion of separation. So take off your mask. You drop it on the floor. Denise, hold out your right hand. I'm going to give you the die. There's different numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I right? What I'd like you to do is put the other hand on top. Pick a number without looking. This time, do not select it with your mind. Just simply select it randomly. So you don't even know what you're choosing. got it. Hold your hand flat. No, well, pick a different number, I saw it. Don't look at it.
Oh,
Don't look. Hold it out flat.
okay.
All right. Flat like a table. Flat, flat, flat. Mark, close your eyes, and in a minute I'm going to ask you to put your fingers in the ear. When I tap you, or when you feel something or hear something, you can take your hands out of your ears. Now put your ear, go ahead, close it up. Just close it up like this, and I want you to focus right here. Did you hear anything? You did hear anything. Well, all right, take your hands out. Take it out and say it.
2.
What do you got?
2.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Give him a hand. They were not primed. They're not stooges. So, imagine what we could do, all of us, if we simply focused on what really, really, truly is important to us. We would do great things. So what I'd like you to do in a few minutes is open this up. It's a free course for 90 days. It will take you through all of this material so that you don't forget it. And the one thing I want to leave with you is this. Stay focused and mind yourself. Thank you so much.